Hey guys, it's Shay of Luckman Photography. If this is your first time here, welcome to my channel, and if you've been here before, welcome back. If you're interested in getting into instant photography this year, but don't know where to start, or someone just gifted you an instant camera and you're not sure what to do with it, this is the video for you. I want to help you skip the confusion, avoid wasting a lot of film, and actually enjoy your first instant shots. Today, I'm going to walk you through the two main instant brands, Instax and Polaroid, the accessories I think beginners should start with, and some basics that will help you get off to a great start. So let's start at the very beginning. First things first, you need a camera. There are a lot of options for instant cameras. If you're gifted one or you already have one, you don't have to stress about which camera to buy. Now, if you don't have one yet, I'll walk you through how to choose between Instax and Polaroid at different budget levels. You can even go the hybrid route if you don't want to do straight analog photography. I'm going to give you a few key differences for you to consider when choosing your camera. Instax comes in 3 film sizes, mini, square, and wide. Polaroid only comes in 2 film sizes, the Go and the Standard. Factually speaking, Instax film is generally cheaper per shot than Polaroid film, no matter the size of film you choose. Instax will cost you between 80 cents and $1.50 per shot, depending on which size film you buy. Polaroid will cost you about $1.25 per shot if you're shooting Go, to about $2.40 per shot if you're shooting the standard size. Instax chemical formula is more stable than Polaroid's. What that means is that the look of Instax's film is less affected by external factors like temperature and light. Opinion-wise, I think Polaroid has a more retro look than Instax, but Instax by no means looks like digital images. Okay, so I've given you some of the key differences between Instax and Polaroid for you to chew on. Now, let's talk camera recommendations based on a few categories. We're going to look at budget and simple, mid-range and a few features, and then the high-end and lots of features. If you're looking for a camera that won't break the bank and isn't super complicated, the budget cameras may be the camera for you. If you're looking for an Instax camera, I recommend checking out the Instax Mini SC, the Mini 12, or the Mini 41. You can get a brand new Mini SC from Walmart for about $55 to $75. One of the nice things about this camera is that you get a pack of 10 film sheets included with your purchase. The camera is pretty simple, it turns on and off, and you can select the lighting situation you're shooting in by turning the lens to the corresponding picture. A brand new Mini 12 will run you between $75 and $95, and a new Mini 41 will run you between $100 and $120. Now these two cameras are basically the same feature-wise. They turn on and off, they have a selfie mirror, and they have a parallax correction feature. The main difference between the two is that the Mini 41 has a more sophisticated look than the Mini 12. If you're looking for a budget Polaroid camera, I recommend checking out either the Polaroid Go 2 or an older Polaroid like a 1-step or 600. Here I have an Impulse. The Polaroid Go 2 will run you about $90. It has a selfie mirror and the ability to do double exposure. Make sure to note that the Go film is even smaller than the Instax Mini film. So if film size is a big deal for you, the Go 2 may not be the camera for you. The older cameras like a 1-step or an Impulse may have exposure compensation or a close-up lens. You can usually find these cameras at thrift stores, flea markets, Facebook Marketplace, etc. for less than $50. However, please be aware that these cameras only take the Polaroid 600 film, which is more expensive than the already pretty expensive Polaroid I-type film, and the 600 film can sometimes be hard to find in stores. Next, let's move on to the mid-range cameras with a few features. These cameras are for those that don't mind spending a few extra bucks for some extra features. For Instax, I'm going to recommend checking out the Lomography Lomo Instant Auto Matte Glass for about $135 to $170 if you're looking for a mini camera, or the Lomography Lomo Instant Square Glass for about $160 to $180 if you're looking for a square format camera. With these cameras, you can use bulb mode, you can change the aperture, and use exposure compensation. Instax has some square format cameras like the SQ1 and the SQ40 for about $200, but they don't really have any features besides a selfie mirror and selfie mode. For the wide format, there is the Instax Wide 400 for about $165 to $175. It has a few features like a self-timer, which is great for this camera because it can be useful when you're doing group shots. It also has a close-up mode and the ability to adjust the angle of the photo for a shot. I still think this camera is a bit lackluster when compared to, say, the Wide 300, but the Wide 300 is discontinued and can be hard to find, and it's usually $200 plus. For mid-range Polaroid cameras, I'm going to recommend either Polaroid Now Gen 3 or the Now Plus Gen 3. So they look pretty similar to this, but this is a Gen 2. I'm going to refer to both of them as Now and Now Plus respectively. The Now will run you about $130 and the Now Plus will run you about $150. While the cameras look very similar, there is a key difference. The Now Plus has the ability to connect to the Polaroid app to unlock some manual features like adjusting the aperture and photographing light painting, while the Now cannot. They both have the ability to do double exposure and a self-timer. I haven't used the Now or the Now Plus Gen 3, but I have heard it is an improvement over the Gen 2 versions. I'm also going to add the Polaroid Flip as another example of a good mid-range Polaroid camera. It's more expensive than Instax's mid-range cameras, but I wouldn't consider this camera high-end when compared to the next Polaroid camera I'm going to share. The Flip pretty much has the same features as the Now Plus, but it does have 4 lenses instead of 2, and it uses sonar for its focusing. Finally, let's look at the high-end and more feature-rich cameras. These are for those of you that want the best of the best in the instant camera world. I'm going to recommend the Instax Mini 99 for about $215 to $240. It has several features that the previous cameras don't, like the ability to add a color effect to your photo and add a vignette effect on top of the features the mid-range cameras have. If you're looking for a square format camera, there is a Nons SL660 that will run you about $680, and the Mint camera Instaflex TL70 Plus that will run you between $530 and $700. Now, I haven't really heard good things about the Nons camera, so I don't want to recommend it, and I've heard mixed things about the Mint camera, but I've never shot with it. For the wide format, I recommend checking out Lomography's Lomo Instant Wide Glass for about $280. Like the other Lomography cameras, this camera has the ability to adjust the aperture, do multiple exposure, and turn the flash on and off. There's one more somewhat controversial category, and that's Instax hybrid cameras. These are essentially low-resolution digital cameras with built-in instant printers. I would consider all the hybrids high-end and feature-rich cameras. However, I'm not going to go into a lot of details about these cameras because I'm focusing solely on analog instant photography for this video. Let me know in the comments below if I should do a video about the hybrid cameras. Plan to spend between $235 and $415 for a hybrid depending on which size you go for. Switching gears, let's talk Polaroid. For its high-end camera, I want to recommend the Polaroid i2. This was Polaroid's first built-in fully manual instant camera. This is easily one of my favorite Polaroid cameras. Now, there is a reason it is in the high-end category. This camera can run you anywhere between $400 and $600 depending on if you can find it on sale. You can also switch between shooting in auto mode, aperture priority, or shutter priority. You can also adjust the exposure compensation or do a double exposure. It uses LiDAR focusing, aka laser pulses, to help your lens focus. Like with the Now Plus, you can also connect the i2 to the Polaroid app for more control over the camera's features. Now, unlike Instax's high-end cameras, I wouldn't recommend getting this camera if you aren't 100% sure you want to invest in the Polaroid ecosystem. Yes, it's a great camera, but it is very expensive, and Polaroid's film can be temperamental. You may realize you dislike Polaroid's film chemistry, and now you have this really expensive camera that you aren't going to use much. Let's talk about film next. Now, this sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to buy the wrong kind of film. If you're shooting Instax, you really only have to worry about getting the right size, mini, square, or wide. Just make sure you get the one that matches your camera. If you're shooting Polaroid, you have to make sure you get the right size and type film. Polaroid's 2 sizes, Gold and Standard, are pretty easy to distinguish. Where you really need to pay attention is whether you need the I-type, 600, or SX70. If you're shooting modern Polaroid cameras like the Now, the Flip, the i2, etc., you can use the I-type or the 600, but I recommend the I-type because it's cheaper. If you have an older Polaroid camera, you'll likely need the 600 film, but some do take the SX70 film. The older cameras will not take the I-type film because the older cameras require the built-in battery of the 600 film to work. The best way to know which film your camera takes is to open the film door and see what it says. I recommend getting at least 2 packs of film, but no more than 5, regardless of which type you're shooting with, for a couple of reasons. 1, you don't want to spend a bunch of money on film to only discover that you really don't like instant photography and now you're trying to figure out what to do with all that extra film. 2, you'd be surprised how quickly you go through film if you're enjoying shooting it. You might run through a pack just from testing your camera. 3, if your camera is new to you or you're new to instant photography, it will likely take you going through several packs of film before you start to really feel comfortable shooting with instant film and your camera. Okay, let's talk accessories. None of these are absolutely required on day 1, but they all make instant photography a lot easier and more enjoyable. First thing I recommend getting is a good strap. The last thing you want is for your Instant camera to slip out of your hand and get damaged or break from hitting the ground. Most new Instant cameras come with some sort of strap, but they aren't always comfortable. If you like the one in the box, you're good to go. If you don't, do some digging and find one that works for you. The only strap I'll specifically recommend is this one by Kayul. It's especially nice if you're shooting Instax Mini because it has a little attached pouch where you can drop your photos right after you take them. It's great if you don't want to carry an extra bag or pouch just to hold your prints. Speaking of bags and pouches, if you're shooting Instax, I think a small bag to hold your extra film packs, batteries, and any small accessories would be sufficient. If you're shooting Polaroid, I recommend adding a separate solid little pouch inside the bag. Here's one of the pouches I use. I got the recommendation from Just Another Chris. They're good quality and they shouldn't break the bank. Like I mentioned, Polaroid film is more sensitive to light and it takes longer to develop and dry than Instax. Here's what I do. After I take a Polaroid, I'll let it sit on the frog tongue for a few seconds. Then I'll slide it into that solid little pouch so it can keep developing in the dark. That way, I'm not accidentally flashing it with light every time I open my main bag. The last accessory I'm going to recommend is something to store your photos in. There are a ton of options, but I think the two easiest are a simple box or a photo album. For the free $99 route, you can use any old box that closes completely. If you want to spend a few dollars, you can grab a photo box from a craft store like Michael's. If you want to be more organized, you can move those photos into an album. Personally, I use both. For my photos, I'll throw them in the photo box to finish developing and drying, and then I'll move them over to an album. The only difference is I'll leave my Instax photos in the photo box for about a day, but I'll leave my Polaroids in their photo box for about 30 days before I move them to an album. Like I mentioned, Polaroid takes longer to dry and develop, and I don't want my Polaroids sticking to the album inserts. Bonus accessory, grab some extra batteries or a portable charger if you plan on shooting a lot in a short time frame. You'll get through several packs of film before you need to swap batteries or recharge, but you don't want your camera dying halfway through a shoot without any backup. Okay, so we've talked cameras, film, and accessories. Now let me give you 5 tips for shooting instant photography to get you started on your journey. Tip number 1, instant photography requires a lot of light. While the scene may look well lit to your human eyes, your camera may see it differently, especially indoors. When starting out, try and stick to well lit environments. The more light, the better. If you're shooting indoors, keep your flash on. It should help better illuminate your subject and give you more consistent results. Tip number 2, when shooting in darker environments, don't move immediately after taking a photo. Most instant cameras automatically select the shutter speed. When you're shooting in darker environments, your camera will select a slower shutter speed to let more light into your camera. If you move too quickly after pressing the shutter, your subject, or even the whole image can end up blurry because the camera is still recording the scene. So take the photo, pause for a moment, then move. Tip number 3, know your camera's minimum focusing distance. If your camera doesn't have a selfie or a close-up mode, it will probably have a minimum focusing distance between 2 and 4 feet. If you get closer than that, your subject will likely be out of focus. Check your user manual or the markings on the camera to find the distance and try and keep your subject beyond that. Tip number 4, don't listen to Andre 3000. Sorry. Do not shake your instant photo to try and make it develop faster. That can actually mess up the chemicals while your image is forming. So after your photo ejects, place it face down or store it in a dark pouch or box while it develops. Tip number 5, take a lot of photos. The only way to get better at instant photography is to shoot. Decide what you don't like and then figure out how to fix it. It's also how you learn all the ins and outs and quirks of your camera. After a while, you know the environments your camera really shines in and which ones it may struggle in. Bonus tip, remember that instant photography is imperfect, especially if you're shooting Polaroid. Sometimes you're going to get a bad photo. Your subject is going to be blurry, the image is too dark or too bright, the chemical didn't spread evenly across the photo, etc. Try not to get too frustrated. It's all a part of the process. Alright, that's the end of this starter guide. Now you know how to pick an instant camera, choose the right film, some accessories that may make shooting easier, and a few tips to help you get better results as you practice. I really want this channel to be a resource for you, so I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me 2 things. What instant camera are you using or thinking about getting? And what's one thing you're still confused or curious about with instant photography? Your questions and comments are what I want to use to help plan some of my future videos, so don't be shy. If you'd like me to do a full breakdown of Instax versus Polaroid, film, color, reliability, all of that, let me know in the comments too. If enough of you want it, I'll make it its own video. Now that you have a better idea of which instant camera and film might be right for you, if you're thinking about the Instax Y Evo, I have a complete beginner's guide that walks you through everything you need to know to really master that camera. I'll link it right here on the screen and in the description. And if this helped you feel a little more confident about instant photography, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next video. Until next time, keep practicing, keep having fun, and I'll see you in the next video.